Welcome to solverfy.
Here we are given a demand schedule for a specific firm, and we're going to fill out the rest of the chart, and then looking at a graph of the chart, we're going to be able to answer some questions. So we're given the quantity demanded and the price at each level of quantity demanded. And this first part, we have to fill out the total revenue. So total revenue is simply price times quantity, and it's going to be the same all the way down. So when we're filling out this column here, we can just multiply across. So the first one, 2 times 0 is 0, then 2 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4, and then 2 times 3 is 6, and then we have 8, and the last one is going to be 10. It's going to be for the fifth unit. And for this next part, we're looking at marginal revenue. So marginal revenue is going to be the additional revenue of one more unit. So thinking about this, we go from 0 units to 1 unit. That gives us an additional revenue of 2 because we're going from 0 to 2. And the next unit, we're going from 2 to 4. So that difference is going to be the marginal revenue. And we're going to notice here, marginal revenue is actually 2 all the way down, because 0 to 2 is 2, 2 to 4 is 2, 4 to 6, and it's the same all the way down. So now that we have that filled out, now let's think about the industry that this firm may be in. So there's perfect competition, monopolistic, monopoly, and oligopoly. Now this firm is going to be perfect competition. And this is because it's perfectly competitive and it's a price taker. Notice the price is the same all the way down. And this means that the firm has to take this price, because if the price was any lower, you would have no quantity demanded, because there are tons of other firms. They're all selling at the same price. This is the characteristic of a perfect competition, a firm in perfect competition. Now, this next part, we're going to look at the graph of this. So I have it down here, and we have the price on the y-axis and the quantity demanded on the x-axis. And we're looking at the demand, the total revenue, and the marginal revenue. So here, I have this down here, marginal revenue, demand, and there's also price. And I also have average revenue here, because when you think of perfect competition, and we're drawing a graph of perfect competition, I usually remember this one line as Mr. DARP. And it just is an easy way to remember marginal revenue, demand, average revenue, and price. These are all equal. It's at 2. So as we can see here, marginal revenue is all 2, price was all 2. And average revenue we're not talking about in this problem, but that would also be equal, because if the marginal is all the same, that means every additional is providing the same amount, so on average it would be also 2. Total revenue is not part of this line. It's upward sloping, and it's actually a constant slope. And this constant slope, we can tell here, is actually 2. It's going up by 2 every single time, so that's why we have this going here. And this part would just be at 0 units. That's why it's starting out a little bit off to the side here. So we're thinking about, why exactly does the demand and marginal revenue curves lay on the same line? And this has to do with perfect competition, and it's because the demand is perfectly elastic. And elastic means that's perfectly straight. And the more elastic it is, the more straight it is. And then just for reference, inelastic would be up and down. It'd be a vertical line. So an elastic means that there's price sensitivity. As what I was saying earlier, is that if the price was any lower, the firm would have 0 as its quantity demanded. Because in perfect competition, there's a large amount of firms, and each firm has to take that price. And if they don't take that price, they're going to sell no goods. So now, moving on from here, let's look at the concept of marginal revenue in terms of the graph. So when you think of marginal revenue, it's the change in total revenue. So graphically, I mentioned slope. So the slope of total revenue is the marginal revenue. At any point here, you can see it's actually marginal revenue, because the difference is 2 and it's constant. That's why we have marginal revenue is constant at 2. This is increasing by the same amount as 2 all the way across. This demonstrates the relationship between marginal revenue and total revenue in this graphical way. And look at the chart here. marginal revenue was the difference as we move through quantity demanded and total revenue.